All right, here we go. This is the PWR10 Mobility Series powered by Prosper. This is a short series that you can do first thing in the morning or any time of the day, especially if you've been sitting for an extended period of time. It's a great way to get blood flowing, get things loosened up. We're going to start in a supine position, lying on your back on a mat or on the ground, knees bent, feet flat. Just take a couple breaths, nice big inhale through the nose, slow exhale through the mouth, bring the heart rate down a little bit. We want to focus on a diaphragmatic breath. So when you inhale, we want expansion all the way around the belly button, 360 degrees. The chest stays down. The first movement is a hip rotation. This is a supine internal and external hip rotation. We're going to keep the feet flat and we're going to slowly lower both knees side to side. We want to control the knees on the way down, so we're resisting gravity. We're going to get good rotation through the hips, a little bit of rotation through that low back. But we're keeping the arms out and the hands down, keeping the middle back and the upper back, shoulders flat. Try to keep your head neutral and the chin sort of tucked so the back of the neck is flat on the ground. And we're going to slowly take the knees side to side. You can do 5 each way or 10 each way, totally up to you, just depending on how much time you have and how things are feeling. Breath should be relaxed. Again, focus on just slow inhales through the nose, slow exhales through the mouth. Posture 2 is very similar. We're going to cross right ankle over left knee, create a bit of a figure 4 position. And again, we're going to rotate side to side. So lowering the right knee to the right side, then coming across the body and bringing that right foot down to touch the ground on the left. We want to resist gravity, so we're not just collapsing and dropping in a heap. Again, we're getting rotation through the hips and low back. Should feel good here. And we can do 5 or 6 or 10 to each side. Try to keep that middle back flat, shoulders flat, and control the movement. We'll do both sides. After sitting for long periods of time, that low back and the hip flexors and the hips get tight. So this is a great way to break up long periods of sitting. All right, position number 3 or movement pattern number 3. We're staying on our back. We're going to do what we call a rocket kick. So now we're going to get a little hamstring involvement. We're going to keep one knee bent, foot flat. And we're going to straighten out the other leg. And we're going to slowly bring the leg up and kind of kick back over our head. We want to pull the toes to the nose. We want to press out long through the heel. So we're creating as much length as possible all the way up the back of the leg from the heel to the glute. Again, starting out in a very controlled and comfortable range of motion. And as things loosen up a little bit, we'll pick up the speed at which we're kicking that leg back overhead. We can even get to the point where we feel a little bit of a pop of the hips coming up off the ground. The goal is to keep the leg straight but not locked. Make sure that knee in the moving leg, the dynamic leg, is not locked. Nice relaxed breathing. And again, 5 to 10 on each side. For position number 4, now we're going to flip end over end. We're going to move to what we call a quadruped position on our hands and knees. So we're going to go hands directly under the shoulders, knees directly under the hips. We're going to spike our toes into the mat for a bit of stability. We're going to tuck our chin and inhale and round the spine as much as we possibly can, really trying to increase the intersegmental space. And we're going to flip it. We're going to lift the chin and the chest. We're going to stick out the tailbone, try to arch the back as much as we can. And we're just going to alternate between those 2 positions. Flexion and extension of the spine. Again, inhale as we take the chin to the chest and we round the back like an angry cat. And then chin to the sky, chest up, tailbone out as we arch the back. Go into that camel position. 5 to 10 reps. You should feel a significant difference in how that low back feels in particular. All right, so position number 5, we're going to move into a downward dog position. So we're just kicking the heels out, straightening out the legs. We're going into an upside down V position. We're trying to pull our hips to the sky. So we should feel a big stretch all the way down the back of the leg. Relaxing the head, just kind of dropping the head between the shoulders, relaxing the arms and the shoulders as much as possible. And then just kind of walking our heels into the mat one at a time. Pressing the heel down as far as we can, feeling a good stretch from the Achilles all the way up through the calves and into the hamstrings, into the glutes. And we can actually do the same thing, but pressing both heels together. So lifting both toes, lifting both heels up and then pressing both heels down into the mat for a few reps. Movement number 6, we're actually going to kind of do a nosedive here, and we're going to come up into an upward facing dog. So we're going to drop our hips to the mat and the tops of our feet down flat onto the mat. We're going to lift the chest and the chin to the sky, keeping the elbows locked. You can move the head around a little bit, up and down, left and right. Inhale, exhale slowly, and just kind of, again, letting the front of the quads, front of the legs melt into the mat. And we're going to bend our knees and we're going to sit back into child's pose for movement number 7. The goal here is to try and lower the hips all the way back onto the heels, assuming there's no pain, of course. If you have pain in your knees, then you can sit up a little bit higher. You could even put a block under the hips between the heels, or a roll, a towel roll. But again, just some nice deep inhales and exhales, reaching long with the fingertips, getting good length through the lats. You can take our fingers over to the right, walk the hands off the mat to the right, and take a breath or two, and then walk the fingertips all the way back across to the left. And at end range, at that furthest position, just hold it there and take a breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Continuing to try to sit the hips back a little bit further and reach the fingers forward a little bit more, so we're getting great length. All right, now movement number 8. We're going to more or less stay in the same position. We're going to thread our arm across underneath our chest. So that right arm comes across with the palm up. We're going to drop the right ear to the mat. Continue to reach long with the left arm. Take a couple breaths. And then we're going to actually pull that right arm out and rotate and open up to the sky. We're going to reach our fingertips up to the clouds. We're going to turn our head and look up at our fingertips. And then we're going to come back down. We're going to rotate, kind of close the door, take a breath, open the door, exhale, reach high. Good stretch in the back of the shoulder, the rear delt, and then a really good stretch through the chest and the front of the shoulder as we open up. You can do 4 or 5 or 6 on each side, trying to keep the hips down so that all of the rotation is isolated to that thoracic spine, the middle spine. You might find that you're a little bit stiffer, a little bit tighter on one side than the other. So of course that's the side we might want to do a couple extra reps. In front of our chest, the front of our shoulders has a tendency, those muscles tend to shorten and tighten, especially when we sit a lot and we have our head forward, head down, looking at our phone, looking at our computer. It's a really good way to work on our posture. All right, movement number 9. We're going to start in that quadruped position again. We're going to kick one leg out to the side, keeping the legs straight. And we're going to inhale and we're going to sit back, taking our butt back to our heel. Hold it for a couple seconds and then repeat. So it's an inhale, exhale. We always want to exhale as we go deeper into the stretch. And this one is really targeting the adductors, right? The inner thigh, the muscles on the inner thigh that go from the groin all the way down to the knee. And as we sit back, we can either keep the inside edge of our foot flat on the ground, or we can rotate the foot and take the toes towards the sky. We can mix it up and do a few of each. And again, this is a really good stretch for the adductors. A really good way to also help loosen up that low back a little bit. And the key is breath. Just sort of sit back into the position, hold it for a second or two, and give the muscles an opportunity to adapt. Movement number 10. Now we're going to put a pattern together. This is a foundational movement pattern. Everybody knows it as a squat. Usually we do it from the top down, but we actually want to rebuild this pattern from the bottom up, which is the way we learned it when we first started squatting as babies. So we're going to go from a quadruped position, walk our hands back, try to get our heels flat, even if we need to open up and externally rotate the feet a little bit. Scour the feet in and out, get our ankle joints loosened up, try to get our chest up, and when we're ready, press down with the feet and come up into an upright position. Now to go back down, we're actually going to hinge. So this is another really important foundational pattern, is a hip hinge. So we're going to hinge, just a soft bend at the knees, keeping the legs straight. We're going to try to grab our big toes and then use that leverage and pull ourselves back down into the bottom of that squat. Ideally getting our chin up and our chest up, standing up and repeating. So the goal is that we hinge down into the squat and we stand back up. And so a goal again would be to get, 4, 5, 6, 7 of these and do it every day. If it's important, we do it every day, just like brushing our teeth. These are 2 really important foundational patterns that we want to make sure we maintain and retain as we get older. And this is a bonus. We're going into overtime. This is a bonus movement pattern. We're going to put a little bit more of an emphasis on stability here. We're in our standing position. We're going to balance on one leg to really recruit the stabilizers in the midfoot. We're going to pull our knee to our chest. This is a standing knee hug. Once we get stabilized, then we're going to go into what we call an airplane position. We're going to reach forward with the fingers and the thumbs, reach forward with the hands, keeping the thumbs up. Ideally, try to get our head down, looking down at the mat. We're going to reach back with that heel, creating lots of length both in the supporting leg and in the moving leg. If you have to touch down in between or use a little bit of a kickstand to get balanced in between reps, totally fine. Again, the goal is to let that supporting leg stabilize you while you move from knee flexion into an extended position. In the airplane position, we're trying to get parallel to the ground. Lots of length in that leg. And the trick is to keep the eyes focused on one spot. If we get our gaze locked in one place, it'll help us create the stability that we're looking for. Nice work, everybody. Power 10 Mobility Series. Great job.